Welcome to the Kingdom Purpose Coaching Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Rachel Wortman, and this is the amazing, incomparable.
The amazing and incomparable Grant Wortman. Good to see you guys.
We are so excited to be on our first inaugural episode of this podcast, and it's going to be such an amazing journey together as we uncover and discover more about what it means to walk in our purpose and really live that out. Kingdom purpose is something that's sort of in the fabric and the DNA of who we are as people. And so we're starting into this brand new venture of drawing in more people than just our immediate sphere in this process that we've been really working on for probably the better part of 2 decades, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah. So tell us, what exactly are we doing in Kingdom Purpose coaching and podcasts? And what's the goal? What's the purpose?
So a couple of years ago, God put this dream in our heart to launch something called Kingdom Purpose Coaching, which is really a process and a method, right, of helping people not only discover their God-given purpose, but also take the practical steps to walk it out, to know what to do to live it, to the full. I'll tell you, for me personally, I am the kind of person who, from as long as I can remember, I'm like, I want to make an impact in this world. Like, I want to make a difference. I want to be useful to God. I want to, not all of this is necessarily theologically correct, but these are the thoughts that I've had over my life. Like, I want to do something amazing for Jesus. I want to make a significant mark on the world. And I wrestled with that for a really long time. So if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, that's me, you might have been wrestling like I have been, where I've just felt really guilty about that. At times in my life, I've felt kind of embarrassed that I so badly wanted to make a mark on the world. And a couple of years ago, it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, I finally made peace with maybe it's God that made me this way. Like, maybe it's God that puts a dream in some of our hearts to want to make a significant impact on the world around us. And maybe that ambition is not all bad. Some of it for sure is probably pride and ego, but not all of it. So we just began this process of wanting to discover the greater parts of our purpose and really do everything we could be doing to be fulfilling it in the here and now, while also knowing that we're going to continue to fulfill it and it's going to shift and change as we grow. And so that's kind of where Kingdom Purpose Coaching began. The idea of it began in helping other people who want to make an impact on the world find the way to do that in the way that makes sense for them for now.
Yeah, that's really good. So some of the things that come to mind that I'm excited to help people with, I feel like a lot of people love to do something for the Lord. They love the dream. Like,
they want to feel like they're serving. They want to feel useful.
Yeah. So they're like, I want to change the world. It's going to be amazing. But then the practicality of what do I do? How, actually pulling the trigger, if you will, and doing whatever that thing is. And when you talk about purpose, there's it becomes tricky because purpose, it's easy to latch on and think, okay, well, this is the purpose for all of eternity or all of my life, and that's the one thing I'm supposed to do. But I think it changes constantly with different things that the Lord has you doing and the things that He's calling you to. And so we want to help people dream about, God, what are you calling me into now? How can I make a difference now? And what's on your heart and what's on your own personal heart? And how can you partner those two things together? And then we want to give you some encouragement and some practical things to get out the door and actually start doing it. That's kind of what we're hoping for.
Absolutely.
That we're able, just the conversations that we have, hopefully they'll spur you to be like, you know what? Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to give it a shot. And to actually try to step forward in the thing that you're excited to do.
Absolutely. I think sometimes purpose can feel so confusing, and it can feel like, do I have one thing I'm supposed to accomplish on the earth, or is my purpose even something actionable? And there's a lot around that can be tricky. And then people use the same words with different definitions, and it's challenging. And that's part of the reason why we created an online coaching community. So we've recently launched an online coaching community called Kingdom Purpose Coaching. And we are so excited about this because really this is just an opportunity for people to get to come together, to get training, equipping, encouragement, empowerment, to really take practical steps of how you can not only fulfill your purpose, but also be an impactor, to be an ambassador of Christ, to really bring heaven's ways to earth. And so in that, we created a standalone e-course as well called Kickstart Your Kingdom Purpose. And that is really a multi-part, a multi-session course designed to help you identify your God-given purpose. So in that course, we talk about what is purpose on a general sense. We talk about like the difference between your purpose and your identity, because a lot of us think our God-given identity is our purpose, and it kind of is, but then our purpose goes beyond our God-given identity. So we talk about that. There's also some activations and exercises and journal prompts that you can do in your time with Jesus to help you basically conclude the course by having a personal purpose statement. And I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler. It's our personal belief that your purpose is two parts. Number one, best viewed in motion. Like your purpose is going to be something you can't slice like a cake and look at it as a box that you check. It's best looked at in a trajectory of your life, or like in the motion, the forward motion of your life. And then the second thing is that your purpose is not tied to any one thing that you do. For example, the best example I could give of this would be parenting. A lot of moms especially will say, well, my purpose in life is to be a mother, right? My purpose in life is to raise these children. And I would say that your assignment in your life is to be a mother, but your purpose began before motherhood and it exists after your kids move out of the house. So when we clarify some of that language, it actually just helps create a really clear path for you to pour the fire of encouragement and empowerment on so that you can actually like run harder in that part of your race. So the Kickstart Your Kingdom Purpose course is a standalone e-course you can purchase by itself. And you can, you don't have to be a part of the coaching community to utilize that. But for those that do want to be a part of the coaching community, you actually get access to that course for free. It's included in your coaching membership. And and we're hoping that we can help a lot of people really clarify the conversation and the concept of their purpose so that they can feel like they're moving forward in it in a much more easy and simplistic way.
Yeah, that's good. So what are they going to experience what's the difference between the coaching program and then what we're presenting in this podcast, YouTube format?
Totally.
What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, I think that's a very challenging question. No, it's not hard. Basically, what we want to do is we want to provide as much free content as we can, because we understand for a lot of people, they're not in a place right now, especially in the economy or if you're in ministry or whatever. You're not always in a place where you can spend some money to get the information that would really help you. So like this podcast and our YouTube channel and our social media, we do a lot of encouragement and equipping on those resources, on those platforms that's free for you so that you can come on the journey with us and hopefully get encouraged in the process. And then the coaching community, there is a price involved and it's a monthly subscription. But, we really kind of believe that you pay for what you pay attention to, right? You pay attention to what you pay for. And so there's something about when we put some of our money on the line and we say, I'm making an investment into my future self. I'm making an investment, honestly, as weird as this is going to sound, into eternity, because what I'm doing by learning and growing is helping me get more clear on how to put my treasures in heaven, on how to have rewards, in heaven for Jesus by how we partner with God in the here and now. So in the coaching community, they're deeper conversations, they're deeper teachings, they're more practical equipping. It's a once a week teaching from Grant and I. We'll have guests that come in from time to time to help encourage you guys. And then we have what I'm really excited about is a monthly live Q&A where you guys can ask in the coaching community. You can ask specific questions, the things that are on your heart, the nuances and the challenges of your purpose that you're trying to walk out, and you can get some real feedback from us and from other people that we bring into those Q&As to help you in your journey. And here's the reason, right? We haven't said this yet, but we're creating what we needed in 2012 and 2013 for ourselves. I mean, wouldn't that be safe to say for you? Yeah. You want to share a little bit about that journey for us?
So in 2012, 2013, we feel like the Lord called us to plant a church. And that was something at the time we were not interested in doing.
But we were in ministry. It wasn't like we weren't in ministry. We just did not want to be senior pastors.
Right. Yeah. Like we were very happy doing what we're doing. We never wanted to have that spot. But very clearly, it's like the heavens opened, and the Lord spoke very clearly, this is what I have for you. And just remembering all of those feelings and emotions of like, okay, the Lord's, he's saying something, he's calling me to do something, and I want to obey. Those are scary moments. Those are scary steps. And especially when it's something that you feel like you haven't seen before, you haven't seen other people do before. And you're like, I'm either like I'm hearing God and I'm doing the right thing, or I'm completely nuts
Right.
and everybody's gonna, like I'm going the wrong way. Like it's one or the other. And in those moments of time, you need some encouragement, some people to be like, heck yeah, that is God. You can do it. You can say yes, and we want to get behind you and give you some encouragement. And then also, like, it changes so often. We've been through so many seasons of God saying something. Well, we want to obey. We want to go along with Him. And each of those steps of the way, it can look so different. And at times, so like when the Lord called us to transition from ministry to He had me start a business, that at times it was like, God said this. I know it, but this feels not ministry.
So
Like, this
foreign.
doesn't
Yeah.
feel like ministry like I'm used to. And so in those times, it's like, is this God? Am I sure? How am I having an impact? And fast forward a few years down the road, it's like, oh, wow. Like that was absolutely the Lord. And I'm so glad I paid attention. But those challenges, as you hear the voice of God or you have the guts to try something, those are tough times. Transition is tough, and that's what we want to help speak to and encourage.
Yeah, I remember so many nights in that season of life Googling, just trying to imagine every keyword I could think of that might help me find somebody out there that was doing something like we felt called to do. And at the time, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but in 2012 and 2013, having a male and female, like a husband and wife, co-pastor their church was not nearly as common as it is today. And we knew God had called us to that. And I remember just searching and searching on Google, trying to find couples out there that were partnering together, where the wife was with the husband, equally really pursuing leading their church. And because when God calls you to something and He's putting this dream and this vision in your heart, it is a step of faith, right? He always calls us to a place where we have to trust Him in a way that we've never trusted Him before, where we have to become dependent in an even greater depth, where we have to surrender. And it's so nerve-wracking because if you're like me, you're going, well, I want to do this right. I want to do this in an honoring way. I don't want to go off course and just kind of go rogue and just hope for the best. And so when we started hearing God speak to us about starting this community, starting this podcast, even starting this channel, it just became something where we realized very quickly, you know what? We know exactly what to say at times. We're going to let the Holy Spirit lead, but we know the heartbeat of those of you guys who are listening to this, who want to step out in faith or who are stepping out in faith. We get it because we have lived it time and time and time again. And I think that's the journey of all of us who are called into discipleship with Jesus. I think we're all called to this surrendered lifestyle that looks like walking on water more often than it looks like walking on dry ground.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just talk for a second about the role of coaching in my life, because there's a difference between taking things that you hear online, which can be helpful and beneficial, and you can get a long way down the road. But then there's this other side of the coin where you are being invested in, and you are being seen, and you are being encouraged. And so for me personally, I feel like a ton of the success that we've had in business specifically is directly related to the coaches that I've hired. So we've invested a lot of money into coaching. And
Maybe someday we'll tell how much.
and I could not be happier of how we invested in ourselves, basically. And then we learned from the people who were going ahead of us, and we just got to stand on their shoulders and take off like exponentially faster than what we should have been able to, because people were encouraging us and seeing what to do and telling us like, oh, try this, tweak this, change this, that kind of thing. So coaching can be very powerful. And I've had a lot of opportunities to do coaching in business, and I've done some of it, and it's honestly not that exciting to me because I love Jesus and I want to change the world.
For Jesus.
I want to help people change the world for Jesus, and that's what we're trying to do. Is if you've got some guts to do something, we want to coach you and encourage you and be your cheerleaders and put some fuel behind you and help you go where you're trying to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine what our life would have looked like without all of the people who've invested in us over the years. Some of those were free, some of those we've paid for, and that would even include counselors and therapists in the process as well. They're, I guess, a type of coach. if you want to think about it like that. But I do think that in the Christian world, the concept of paying for coaching is kind of challenging for a lot of people, because it's like, well, haven't we been given, like, freely you've been given, freely you receive, that scripture. And there's other things that just kind of feel, it's like it feels a little bit wonky at first, but I would say that there's something so powerful. Again, I said this earlier, we pay attention to what we pay for. And it's the same as if you want to be discipled by somebody, you pick your favorite pastor, the most inspiring pastor in your life, and you want to be discipled by them. Well, they only have the same 24 hours a day that you do. They have their own family. They've got their own purpose that they're walking out. So they can't disciple everybody. But what do? A lot of times they write books. And so we pay for that book, and we read that book, and we receive discipleship through that book to some degree. And I think coaching is another step of that. It's like you're paying, for our coaching program, you're paying about $1.50 a day. I mean, we can't get a lot cheaper than that. And we're really doing that as I don't know, maybe this is a weird way to say it, but to me, it is like a ministry in a sense, it's a sacrifice for us because our time is more valuable than that. But it's like we really believe that in raising you up, we are also fulfilling part of our purpose. And it's just exciting. It's exciting to get to connect with those of you guys that are going to come on this journey with us, and to get to watch what God will do through your life as you get encouragement, and as you don't have to feel like you're alone as you're pursuing these things, and you get to feel like you're a part of a group of people who's really pursuing something amazing on the earth. And I don't know if you can put a price on that. It's pretty amazing feeling.
Yeah. Tell them about your experience with your community currently.
Yeah, I've actually had the privilege of being a part of a couple different coaching communities, but recently I got connected. This is so random. I was on Instagram, and a lady that I've been following, who I had been a part of her coaching community a couple years ago, she had mentioned, my coach, and shared that person's name. And I thought, I'm going to look her up. I don't know who that is. And I went to her Instagram page, and I saw one of the top posts on her feed was an event that she was doing. And it was very out of my comfort zone. At that point, I had been in ministry. I've been in ministry since I was like 15 years old, but I'd been a senior pastor in senior level ministry for, 8 or 9 years. And we had just stepped down from that and transitioned into a new season that God had called us into. And I just remember feeling kind of lost. Like, I'm looking for my passionate women of God who, want to just like lay at the altar and just give everything to Jesus, but also want to like earn money so we can fund missions and, all these different things. And I was going, I don't know where these women are. And I came across this post, and I had this overwhelming sense from the Lord, you need to be at that event. And I'm telling you guys, it was so far out of my comfort zone. It was at face value. I was looking and thinking, I don't know that any of these women are like me. In fact, I told this group of women, I kind of had this feeling like I was an Idaho potato on a buffet of all these truffle fries and like these beautiful, potato presentations. And then here's me, like I haven't even been baked kind of thing. And I was like really struggling with some comparison in that. But when I got in the room with these women, the level of worship that they were going for, and the honor that they were giving to Jesus, and the impact that they're having in these businesses. I mean, I got to hear from women who are billionaires for Jesus. And that sounds ridiculous, but they are funding huge things in sex trafficking. They're funding massive endeavors in all kinds of nonprofits because God has blessed them with an avenue through their business to bring God glory. And I was undone. So I signed up to do the 9-month coaching program with this community. And I'm just telling you, I felt like I had found people who were like me and who could encourage me, and it did something inside of me that I needed so badly. I felt like I got plugged into an electric socket a little bit, like stuff inside of me started waking up that I hadn't felt in a really long time. And you know what it is? It's the power of community. It's the power of feeling like you're a part of something and everybody has the common goal. Even though we're all doing it in completely different ways, the common goal is that Jesus gets glory and we live our lives surrendered to him. And to me, that's the heartbeat of Kingdom Purpose Coaching as well. You might be joining the community as somebody who's like a stay-at-home parent, or somebody who's an employee at somebody else's business, or you might be leading your own businesses or ministries or whatever it is that God has called you to. If you've got a drive to fulfill purpose in your life, this is the community for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're excited about it. We're excited about this. We're excited about the coaching platform, and we hope that you are interested and that you want to
Yeah.
jump in and be a part a little bit more.
So, like, where can you go from here? Let's talk about that for a second. So, I would really want to encourage you to like and subscribe, right? That's the motto of the 2020s is like and subscribe. But also share this with people that you know. I would imagine for a lot of us, as you've been listening to this, there's people coming to mind that you're like, oh, this is like so and so. Would you do us a favor and would you share this with them? And you could send them a text and say, I thought about you when I listened to this or when I watched this, and just invite them to watch it as well. And so that's one of the things that you can do from here. If you're interested in the coaching program or the Kickstart Your Kingdom Purpose course, you can go to www.kingdompurpose.coach. And that's our website, and you can find all of this information on there. The coaching program is not open year round. It opens up a few times a year. And so depending on when you're listening to this, it might be on a wait list, but you can sign up for the wait list and you'll get an email letting you know when it opens back up for the next one. So that's a really simple way that you can do it. You can also follow us on social media. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Rachel Wortman, on TikTok at the Rachel Wortman, and same for Grant. All of his handles are at Grant Wortman, and you can get him, follow us there if you're looking for the super, super free, easy content. That's probably the best way to do it. Yeah. Can we just end for a moment just kind of talking about, why don't you share, Grant, just that encounter you had with the Lord all those years ago about the ways that we fulfill our purpose and just like what it means to bring God glory no matter what your job is, that the goal is obedience, right?
Yeah. You talking about the potter?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure I'm remembering which one. So, yeah, I had this great encounter with the Lord where.
Well, I guess, wait, you should probably say, like, what is an encounter? We should probably start with that.
What is an encounter?
It's like a moment, right?
A moment with the Lord. A meeting of the minds.
Yeah. When God meets you, speaks to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully you have them all day, every day, multiple times a day. But sometimes, like even if you spend time with God every single day, sometimes he comes through a little more clearly than others, right?
Marked moments.
Okay, I was praying and I was talking to the Lord about just purpose and passion and why am I on the earth and what am I here to do and why did you give me these giftings that you gave me and all this kind of stuff. So I'm kind of like feeling that internally, and I'm talking to him about that. And he gave me this great analogy that has stuck with me for a decade now. And he said, look, he said it's like this. He said, imagine that there's a potter, and the potter, he loves to create all these different things all the time. He's got his little wheel and he's creating stuff. He's got all these different types of clay and everything, and he's a master potter. Well, sometimes the potter wants he wants to build this beautiful vase. It's going to be, maybe it's this huge vase and it's going to be extremely ornate. It's going to take hours and hours and hours to create, and it's going to go in front of thousands of people in this grand auditorium, and you're going to put, tens of thousands of dollars of flowers inside this thing. It's going to be a showstopper. And sometimes that's what the potter wants. Other times, the potter, he loves sushi. He loves a good sushi roll. And so sometimes he needs a little, very simple dish to dip the soy sauce for the sushi into, right? And it's extremely plain. There's nothing fancy about it. It's very small. It's very simple. But sometimes he wants this sushi dish. And so he makes those things and everything in between. And then the thing is, he said, look, the full pleasure of the potter is in the vessel when the vessel fully understands what it was created for and it fully embraces it. And he said, if this sushi dish looks at the vase and says, oh, that's the purpose of life. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm supposed to do. And the little soy sauce dish puts itself up in that place of this big vase. And it tries to do what it's not created to do. The full pleasure of the potter is not in that vessel at that time. But when it fully embraces what the potter wanted, that sushi, the soy sauce, and just to be that intimate expression, that's when the full pleasure of the potter is in that vessel. And then he went on and he said, look, the rewards of a believer in heaven are extremely tied and connected to fully embracing what I created them to be, okay? And so if God didn't create you to be a preacher in front of tens of thousands of people, and you are trying to put yourself in that place. The full pleasure of the potter is not there. But if maybe God created you to be the most phenomenal, nurse in the whole universe, or phenomenal banker, or phenomenal race car, like there's literally limitless, and I don't even want to go on because it's like every single profession, every single occupation, every single dream in your heart. Maybe God created you to be that, and that's where his full pleasure is. When you own it, you embrace it, and you glorify him in that, there is so much power. And not just power, but there is rewards, like eternal rewards. When you do what he loves for you to do, then he's able to come and back you up, and then he's able to do all sorts of other stuff that he couldn't do without you doing your part, right? So that's kind of the gist, and I think that's so powerful to think through, to embrace, and also just to let go and be like, okay, God, I thought I was supposed to do that, but maybe I'm not. What did you make me for? I want to wholeheartedly embrace what you made me for, and I want to partner with you in those things.
Absolutely. It's powerful, and I want to encourage you to think about that, to let that stay in your mind, because what the enemy wants us to experience is so much comparison where we start to feel less than because we don't have somebody else's calling. And the reality is God's metric scale, he is never judging you against somebody else. He is always evaluating you based on who he created you to be. And it's always in the lens of mercy and kindness and grace. And so we can actually feel at peace when we think about God looking at our life, right? At the end of our life, we're going to stand before Jesus. And that should actually be a peaceful thought because Jesus is so merciful and he's so kind and he's just and he's good and he's good natured. And so, for those of us that have maybe at times longed for somebody else's calling or wished that we had anybody else's life but ours, I really want to challenge you to really think about that, what you just shared, Grant, as something that is really freeing, that when God looks at you, he's looking at who you're becoming according to who he created you to be, not according to anybody else out there, not according to who you perceive to be at the pinnacle of their spiritual life and who God loves the best, because the reality is who God loves the best is you. And that's true for every single one of us. Who does God, I genuinely feel, I'm like, I am God's favorite. I feel that way every single day. But I also believe that you are also God's favorite. And every single person listening to this is God's favorite because that's his heart, right? He wants all of us to feel that way. We want our kids, we've got 4 kids. We want our kids to all secretly feel like they're our favorite because each of them are. And that's his heart. Yeah. Okay, guys, like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.